Often people will interchange the words dementia with Alzheimer's, not knowing that the two are not one and the same. So today I'm going to use this video to talk about how they are different, what are some of the symptoms that you can look for in terms of Alzheimer's, and also how does Alzheimer's disease actually affect one's brain. My name is Lisa, and my mother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's over 10 years ago. And so I'm using this platform in order to share my experiences and how we've been dealing with it in the hopes that I can help other people as well. So first of all, let's talk about dementia. And I want you to think about it this way. If I were to say I have stomach pain, I get bloated, I am running to the bathroom all the time, there are certain foods that I can't eat without feeling some excess pain, what would you tell me I have? From that bundle of symptoms, it could be celiac, it could be Crohn's, it could be stomach cancer. There's a bunch of different reasons for having those same cluster of symptoms. And that is the same thing about dementia. Dementia can be referred to as like a catch-all or an umbrella term for a cluster of symptoms. So let's take a look at a cluster of symptoms that would describe dementia. According to the World Health Organization, dementia includes symptoms such as problems with memory, attention, problem solving, mood fluctuation, communication skills, reasoning, judgment, and visual perception. That could include hallucinations. It's important to remember that this goes beyond the scope of just our natural aging process. We all forget somebody's name, especially if we haven't been around them for a while, or we can't find a word, when we're telling a story and this word escapes us, but eventually it comes back to us in this flash of inspiration, but not so much in the case of someone with dementia. So for example, getting lost in familiar places could be something that someone with dementia would experience. They would use unusual words for familiar objects, calling an orange a coffee cup, something that just really has no parallel at all. Forgetting the name of someone who is close to them, especially a family member who they see all the time. Forgetting old memories. Well, you'll notice that people with dementia, they tend to live in the present. It's all about being in the present moment. Or they lose their ability to complete routine tasks by themselves. Even things like showering, personal hygiene, and in the earlier stages, especially with like my mother, cooking became quite challenging. Something that she loved to do and was very, very good at it. She struggled with putting in the right amount of ingredients for certain things, using the stove. All of these things that she had done for years became challenging. So now that we understand that dementia is basically just the name for a cluster of symptoms, let's go into how there are various types of dementia. The number one is Alzheimer's. There's also other dementias like vascular dementia, Lewy body dementia, frontotemporal dementia, alcohol-related dementia, chronic traumatic encephalopathy dementia. That one is all about trauma to the head, and there's actually more, but I just wanted to show you that there's quite a few other dementias other than just Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's is the most common type of dementia, and according to the Alzheimer's website, 1 in 9 people over 65 have Alzheimer's. So the question becomes then is if these are all forms of dementia, how are they different? What's different from Alzheimer's to vascular? The bottom line is how the dementia was created and how the brain has been damaged. So for example, chronic traumatic encephalopathy dementia is all about trauma to the brain. Vascular dementia is all about the lack of blood flow, and so you end up with things like strokes. What we're going to look at is Alzheimer's. So what I'd like you to do is take a look at these two different brains. These are two people who donated their brains to science. They are the same gender and the same age. Yet look how different they are. When I was studying psychology, I came across a man named Daniel Amen, who said the biggest thing that you can do for yourself is to make your brain as big and fat as possible. So what he was talking about was feeding your brain nutrients to keep it nice and plump. You'll notice how the brain with Alzheimer's has really shrunk. In fact, they say it can lose about a third of its size. What is the reason for the shrinkage of size of the brain? It has to do with the dying off of the neurons. So what are neurons? Neurons are the millions and millions and millions of cells that make up the matter of our brains. It's these cells that communicate with one another to send messages. It transmits chemicals, those little chemical messengers that help us learn, to fluctuate our moods, basically to make us live. So why do these neurons die? The neurons are being basically suffocated and being strangled by things called plaques and tangles. What is happening is there is a buildup of these proteins called amyloids that are creating blockages and not allowing the chemicals to get from one neuron to the next. And when those blockages take place and the neuron is not able to function, it dies off. So where the neurons are being damaged first within the structure of the brain is basically going to dictate as to the symptoms that you're going to see. So for example, if the damage is happening in the frontal lobe, that is where people tend to plan, organize themselves, regulate their social judgment and behaviors, such as knowing what's appropriate in certain situations, stopping impulsive behaviors, interpreting the feelings of other people, and being self-aware. If damage has taken place there, then someone might appear to be quite apathetic or uninterested in what's going on in the world around them. They might even stop hobbies or other activities that they previously enjoyed. They lose interest in responding to other people. They'll withdraw from other people. And they also won't understand that they have been asking the same question over and over and over again. If the damage has happened in this temporal section of the brain, this is where the hippocampus is. And this is where our verbal and visual memories are processed. So if damage has been happening there, then they're going to really have difficulty with recalling words, recalling objects and faces and places. So this is why they get lost. This is why they forget the people around them. Our hippocampus is very instrumental with our short-term memories and learning new things. So if this area has been damaged, then it makes total sense as to why they can't hang on to that new information. The parietal part of our brain, which is that band right up above here, this is the area that helps us with understanding what activities need to happen in the right sequence. So brushing our teeth, using kitchen appliances, putting a sandwich together, putting our clothes on in the right order, and of course driving. So when they have difficulty in this area, it's going to impact so many aspects of their lives. Being able to write, being able to understand writing, paying their bills, doing daily tasks, going on errands, and it can actually even affect their ability to put on their clothing properly. And of course, at the back here is our occipital lobe, and this controls vision. It allows us to see and combine colors and shapes and angles and movement into meaningful patterns. And so if that area has been impacted, they could lose the loss of, let's say, depth perception or the inability to see movement clearly. I hope this video helps a little bit in understanding the difference between dementia and Alzheimer's, and how really Alzheimer's basically is just one type of dementia. And I want to really focus on the Alzheimer's because it is what my mother has. And in future videos, I plan to look at things like the stages of Alzheimer's, as well as that big fat brain. How can we protect our brain? How can we try to keep that brain big and round and fat for as long as possible? What are ways that we can fight back? And I want to answer questions like, my mother has Alzheimer's. Does that mean I'm going to get it too? To what extent is this genetic? Being her daughter, this is a very big question on my mind. And I know that every single time I can't find a word or I lose my train of thought, I think, oh my goodness, do I have dementia or do I have Alzheimer's? And so I want to answer those questions. So if you're interested in these concepts and you found this interesting and helpful, please like and subscribe and put something in the comments that you would like me to answer. I'd be more than happy to research it for you and get back to you. Have a great day.